What is up, peoples? I'm the Motorcycle Mick, and we're back at it again for another Thursday night live stream. Tonight's topic is getting serviced. Not talking about you and some weird trip to Vegas. Talking about your motorcycle. Okay? So keep your mind cleaned and your mouth dirty, I think. No, maybe.
Something like that.
Something like that. But if you are new to the channel, watch this live stream to its entirety. And real quick, too, we are limited to an hour. I'm on call for work, so I don't want to have to be in the middle of a good conversation and be like, bye. But, that's just the life I apparently was selected for. But if you are new to the channel, check out my content after the live stream. If you like it, hit that subscribe button. Been watching for a long time. You've been watching my content for a while and aren't subscribed. What are you doing? Also, don't forget to leave a big thumbs up and hit that bell icon because you won't be notified I upload a video unless you hit that bell icon. Going into Tuesday's video, if you guys missed that, it was talking about Project Clean Slate from Between Two Wheels. I love those guys. Bunch of awesome live streams they do every Wednesday night. Go check it out. And check out the other content. They have podcasts too. Well, I mean, it's Between Two Wheels podcast. So, obviously they have a podcast. But check it out because they make good content, good guys. And the cause for Between Two Wheels being Project Clean Slate is to help a motorcycle get to a veteran. Help a homeless motorcycle find a veteran that's going to take care of it and be super nice. Yeah. I also upload new videos every Tuesday around 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I love when I get to do that. But going back into today's topic of getting serviced, a lot of times people take their motorcycles to get serviced, whether it's the local dealership, a local shop, or you're doing it in your own garage. But there's certain things you need, certain things you don't. And sometimes the dealership tries to trap you. Or maybe even your local shop tries to trap you. You never know. Those guys might be buddy-buddy, but they might just be in it for the money. So we're going to address some of those things tonight. We're going to talk about it. But I'm going to let the Norseman talk about some service tips first. Because he actually serviced my Heritage, even though I could have did it and helped him. He had all the tools and stuff and was really awesome, and he did some running for me. So, but he also has a lot more experience doing this stuff than I do. So, wisdom and age versus me.
That's fair. No,
So,
some of the big things that I would look at, obviously, besides your oil change, the quality of the oil that you use makes a difference. We kind of went back and forth when we were servicing your bike on, do we want AMSOIL? Do we want Lucas? And, for the most part, it's don't go cheap on the oil. It's basically the lifeblood of your motor. So you basically, if you can, go synthetic on the older bikes. If you have any leaks, synthetics will exacerbate those leaks. So
it's a thinner, more better coated oil. So
it's infinitely more better. But yeah, you really want to make sure that you what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. You don't want to go with just conventional grades when it comes down to servicing your motorcycle. And fluids are a big thing. Those are what keep that's the only substance that you have between your metal components. So make sure those are good. And then I can't stress this enough, safety inspections. Before you get on your bike and start, tooling off down the road, every so often, you probably want to do a little walk around. And just a quick story on me not following my own advice. At one point in time, I had the Road King, and I knew I needed tires. I was just basically I could probably just get just this last season out of it and I'll be good. Well, I rode the remainder of the season. I didn't really do anything other than check pressure. But when I went ahead and tore my bike down over the winter, I had found that I was getting tread separation.
Do your fucking homework.
Wow. I think he actually did all his homework, so just throwing that out there. No, so what I did was I ended up pulling my fender off, and then when I pulled my fender off, I found that I had tread separation to the point where if I had gone any further, wow, this is going to be a long night. um, yeah, I found that at any moment I could have had a blowout just because I never even like looked at more of the tread as opposed to just taking a pressure reading, and that was it.
So Ty from Tennessee, also nice COD videos. Thank you. I do also do live streaming on an COD. I do Call of Duty live streaming on another one. It's called the IRA Mic. So if you want to check that out. But Ty from Tennessee says I just had my 5,000 mile service on my Street Glide, and it was expensive. Money, 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 money.
It's absolutely amazing, like how much money. I had a buddy of mine call me up, and he just picked up a Road King, and he was having his 1,000 mile service, trying to get it scheduled with the dealership, and they wanted like $450 for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, so Ty from Tennessee, I have a question: is if you could answer this in the comments, is do you have a garage? That's one of my biggest questions. It's do you have a garage? Because if you do, I want to know, what you actually paid for it. Because I'm guessing you're down in Tennessee, unless your name is Decepticon. Anyways, so if you do have a garage, if you could, well, we're going to keep rolling with this, but if you could, yep, you sure do. So how much did you pay for oil change? I really want to know that real quick is how much you paid for your oil change or your 5,000 mile service. Yeah, so he said it's about $450. So he said he paid about $450 for his 5,000 mile service. Did they mention what they changed in that? Was that just your oil and primary fluid, or was it oil primary? It was a 3-hole deal. Did you get all 3 holes? Get all 3 holes emptied and filled? Anyone?
For $450, I think that all they do is they check it.
Because I think we did a whole service on my bike, and it was like what, $100?
Yeah, I mean that's expensive.
Well, and the reason I bring that up is because Ty said it was $450 for the oil change. I know that Harbor Freight, as much as people don't want to trust them, I'm ashamed of myself. I don't know. Well, okay, so we're going to address that in a little bit. Is also too, don't be ashamed, man. Don't be let down by that. It's a common thing. We're going to address that here in a little bit. But one of the big things that people need to look at is other options that are available to them. If you have $450 into an oil change, like I said, I had about $100 into my Milwaukee 8, like 3-hole, and we didn't end up changing the 3rd hole. We still have a brand new Cora oil, but for a 3-hole, all the oil and filter and everything together was about $100. And I know that Harbor Freight, which is their motorcycle lifts are actually really good, and those run about $150, $200.
The biggest thing is like you don't even need a lift.
You don't. It does. But if you do have a garage, I would highly recommend it. It makes it a lot easier to throw the bike up there, because it is when you have that kind of ability to spend, when you're spending $450 in an oil change or a 5,000 mile service, when you can throw your bike up on a lift, it also lets you inspect the underside of your motorcycle too, letting you see things you might not have seen, like oil patches, oil spots. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems. If you have oil leaking out somewhere underneath your bike and you don't notice it because maybe it's a slower drip, but you're running over that oil as you're going down the road, it's going to make that rubber tire slippery. And that's a safety hazard. Being that if you do have the motorcycle lift yourself, like the Norseman does in his garage, like right behind him, it makes it easier for you to check it. You can do your own oil changes. It only requires about 3 tools to do,
pretty much,
and a couple funnels.
Yeah.
And so for the cost of maybe one oil change you'd pay at the dealership or a service at the dealership, you're paying a lot less over time. Yeah, the upfront cost is expensive, and you might not be a trained technician, but they have service manuals, and that's really, like, technicians that fix motorcycles go off a service manual. Like,
and to be honest with you, I mean, here's the thing. I'm a very big proponent of like being able to like work on your own bike and at least get the understanding of like the how it functions. Um, you should be, and I feel the same way with like vehicles. You know, you should be able to like do like minimal things like change a tire if you get a flat, change the oil if you had to, inspect your brakes. I mean, you don't have to be a certified technician to be able to look at something and say that's fucked up. You
Also,
know,
too, when you have a lift, what makes it really nice is you can get the other jack that goes underneath the frame of the bike, and you can lift the bike up a little bit and actually spin your tires. Because there's not too often people actually take the time to spin their tires and look at them. Because you can look for uneven wear. You can look for. I'm sorry if I'm close to the camera. I am plugging in because my mouse just died. I love Apple, but my mouse just died.
I will tell you this: if you don't have to like that center stand or the center jack is it's a couple $100 tool. But I mean, if you're just looking to like spin your wheel and take a look at that, Harbor Freight actually has these like ride on rollers. Literally just ride right on them, and they got rollers on them, and you set the bike on the jiffy stand, and you can spin that. You know, put it into the highest gear you got, and you can actually spin it if you wanted.
Or neutral.
Yeah, or throw it in neutral. You can do the same, um, depending on what you're doing. If you want to, obviously actuate the pistons.
I
Sometimes you
mean,
need to do that.
in reality, when they talk about all these things, when you go to the dealership, is you know all the service they offer with their 5,000 mile service or their 1,000 mile service or 10,000 mile service, and all it is really basic stuff you can do yourself. It
Yeah.
really is. It's all basic stuff. It's not really in there. Dwayne Sapp says, I paid 130 for 3-hole plus spark plugs. That includes all gaskets and seals. I did it myself. Right there. Dwayne hit it on the head. And Ty from Tennessee, I said, I need to study up and learn some motorcycle DIY. There are plenty, I mean, an overabundance of stuff on YouTube for motorcycles, especially Street Glides being one of Harley's top selling motorcycles. That's going to make it so much easier for you to go through and like see service tips or things to look for, because the dealership is making money off of people when they don't necessarily need to. Like 450 for an oil change or for a full 5,000 mile service. They might be doing something extra or not, but most of the time I'm guessing all they're doing is just changing your fluids, and not even flushing them, just putting new fluids in there, and then doing a general inspection on the bike, which is something you can do yourself. You start from the front of the bike and work your way back. Just look at everything, look at inspection. I mean, like pulling spark plugs.
There's there's a checklist that Harley has for their 1K, 5K, and so forth. I mean, you can literally pull them off the internet and get an understanding of what it is that entails. And a lot of times it's looking that up in your service manual, and getting an understanding of what's in spec, what's out of spec, and how to test for it. One other thing, too, just to throw this out there, for a very, very small, minuscule fee, Fix My Hog is, if you have a Harley or an American made, Fix My Hog is probably one of the best video um, outlets that you can find on the internet for how-to videos. They cover so much, and they have such a comprehensive array of videos. Everything from simple stuff like changing your oil to things that are more complicated when you're trying to rebuild your top end. And that's a good resource.
And from the general service standpoint, you're really only going to need, from the tools aspect, I would say 2 torque wrenches, which is going to be something you can torque stuff down with after you get it in there. It's going to be foot pounds and inch pounds. You're going to want one of each, so you can do both. Some torque wrenches do both. So if you find one that does that, set of like just a ratchet set.
You need just your basic tools.
Yeah, a set of crescent, or not crescent wrenches, just a box end, open end wrenches, and I think that maybe some Allen keys. Allen keys or Torx is a set of those each. I mean, you'd be like, I don't know, $100 into tools, on the high end. And if you do buy them, go buy them from O'Reilly's or AutoZone. A lot of people diss on those tools and they're like, well, it's not Snap-on, it's not all these name brands. But the thing is, with the auto parts store tools like O'Reilly's and AutoZone, is that they are lifetime warranty. The tools on there are lifetime warranty tools. Oh my God, he got a haircut.
Look at how handsome.
Oh my God. Look at you.
I don't know how I feel about this.
What is the same haircut I always get, you fucking turd?
Yeah.
Looks good though.
See? Dwayne Sapp, Harbor Freight Torque Wrench. $20 on sale.
Ooh, sometimes there's a $10 coupon for those boys. And they count as a hand tool. So if it ever messes up, walk in with no receipt, get a brand new one.
Also, another lifetime warranty. Like, you do not need Snap-on. You don't need Matco. You don't need any of those fancy tools.
All of Harbor Freight's hand tools are lifetime guaranteed. It can be like 20 years old.
So you buy the cheap ones that you could swap out for the rest of your life.
And let's be real.
The only reason I say Harbor versus Harbor Freight is O'Reilly's and AutoZone is because tools are not their primary sales point. So if Harbor Freight ever does go out of business, O'Reilly's and AutoZone will probably still be in business.
Well, okay, this is true, but you also have, as opposed to Snap-on, what I was going to say is I've got Snap-on tools that are broke that I am totally owed a brand new one of, but I no longer work at a place where the Snap-on guy comes and there's not a Snap-on store that I can walk into whenever I want. So there's that convenience, but also
there are Snap-on Snap-on shops.
Not around here.
You just got to find them. I know there's the only one I know of in existence, like that I know personally, is down where my parents live, and they have a shop down there, but that's 2 hours away.
Yeah, I'm not driving 2 hours for a fucking screwdriver, dude.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. Just keep in mind, it's easier to go to. I mean, O'Reilly's aren't really overpriced for like when it comes to basic tools.
Try buying one Torx bit.
They have them there.
Yeah, they're like $9 for the small ones.
$2.99.
Ooh, I have spent $30 on.
Well, I'm gonna.
Well, I'm talking.
Hold on a second.
Really?
And I want to tell you that you're both are correct, and I'll tell you why. Because if you're buying what they considered a specialty tool, like a TX45, that's a very large Torx bit, usually used for brake calipers.
Yep, they know you're screwed. It's one of those they know you need it.
Yeah. So my thing is just get the whole set. Just order the set.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can buy them off the shelf, dude. They got them hanging there. They're $29.99 for the whole set,
right?
And it's lifetime warranted. Like that's the big key is like doesn't matter if it rusts or anything like that. Like they're replaceable, and that's I think people look past that too much, and then they look down on like cheap tools. But like if a cheap tool is lifetime warranted,
I'm gonna tell you this. Like I'm a fan of like cheaper tools because a lot of times you get into a situation where you need to modify a tool, and I am not about to take a grinder to my 1/2 inch, Craftsman set or Matco or Snap-on, whatever, to go ahead and get there. But I will go ahead and do that all day long for my little tools, my Harbor Freight specials, and a lot of times I find easier ways with the, any job is easy when you have the right tools, right? Sometimes I'll have to bend a wrench a certain way depending on what bike I'm working on. Or I may have to grind it down a little bit so I can get it. Hold on.
Wigsley, stand up. Look at that.
Nice.
I recognize that shirt. And also, if you guys didn't miss, I do have a Teespring, and Wigsley actually designed that shirt on the front. And I have mine. I love it. But not to interrupt you, I just got sidetracked by a beautiful shirt.
No, it's okay. I know when it's shiny and it's squirrel-like, it happens.
I got a compliment on it today when I was getting my haircut. My barber told me my shirt was dope, and I got to drop yeah, well, I drew it.
So there.
So there. No, she's actually thinking about getting an iPad Pro, which is what I use. And when I told her that's what I drew it on, she was like, "Oh,
That's
maybe I need one of those."
That's a Mick Heritage Softail.
Or a Honda Shadow.
No, it's a Mick Heritage.
Jury's still out.
1800. Shut up.
Hey, you know what? Either one of those can outrun, 88 cubic inch Road Kings.
I'll get there eventually.
That's all right.
So
I might be looking at a 1450 for the Spookster. I heard it's doable.
So
Nice.
I want to touch on this real quick because I've touched on everything but little boys, and that's not a stab at Michael. I'm just a psycho. But someone please tell me they got that reference. Anyways, so Ty from Tennessee said, "I'm ashamed of myself. I don't know," because I asked him about what they did for their service, and this is something I know we all can talk about, is having knowledge before you take your bike to a dealership about what they're doing.
The most dangerous thing in the world is an educated consumer.
Just because Harley says they're going to do something and this is what we're doing, know what they're doing, because they might be trying to overcharge you, and there might be a local shop that could do it for a way better price with the same knowledge. Local shops, I've noticed, are doing a lot better than Harley dealerships because they can undercut the dealerships because they don't have the overhead that dealerships have. And they're worried about quality or quantity, not quality. Like, they do good quality work, but they're worried about quantity, so they do more of them for a little less or a lot of less, but they already know what they're doing.
And if I'm correct and refresh my memory.
I'm getting to that in a second. I'm not too happy about that. I know what you're about to say about the Heritage.
What about it?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the oil. He said the only two torque pit I've used in my HD is the T25 and T27. I think that sounds right.
That depends. That is right, but it depends on what year Harley you have. Like, I don't have any torque bits anywhere on either of my bikes.
Mine does.
I have 3. That's because I put them on there.
Right.
So, and Ty, this brings up too. He says if a local shop does an oil change, does that void the warranty? I'm not sure.
No,
it does not void the warranty. A local shop changing oil does not void the warranty, but keep the documentation showing the oil got changed. Or whatever fluids get changed, because if you have that documentation and Harley tries to say, well, you didn't change your oil when you needed to, it's nice because they have verification. They're going to check your odometer. They're going to put all that shit on the paperwork. And also, too, if you're going to change your own oil, make sure you document mileage with time, dates, and all that kind of stuff so that they don't get all butthurt.
I mean, the biggest thing is like anything else. If you have documentation, I know a lot of guys that change their own oil and do their own work. They've never had a problem taking their bike into the dealer for something that's outside of their realm or covered under warranty.
Well, you got to remember that's only during the warranty period too, which is also the depreciation period.
Yeah,
but that is something to bring up. Like we were talking though, is like being educated about the services offered by the dealership, because that 5,000 mile service you got just might be them, dumping the fluids, because they're going to change fluids on a normal service interval. If part of their 5,000 mile service says we're going to change the transmission or primary fluid and the oil, but if that doesn't include the primary or transmission and you're just getting an oil change and an inspection, $450 is way too much. And dealerships are always going to charge more. That's why when you look at riding courses, a community college offers it for $50 or less, and a dealership offers it for $400.
And remember too that the dealership and the motor company are not the same business. They are related businesses. The motor company gives you your warranty, not the dealership. And it's the motor company that will void your warranty. The dealership is just who reports to them, hey, we saw X, Y, or Z that goes against the warranty. It's up to the motor company. The motor company makes the rules. And based on, and I'm not going to badmouth any of the dealerships, but I have relationships and I know people that go to all the different dealerships. You're one of them, Mick. And I have heard wildly different things out of people's mouths as far as, oh, I can't do this because it'll void my warranty. Well, says this dealership. But says this dealership down the road, absolutely not.
I mean,
that doesn't make any sense.
We have two
So remember,
dealerships.
check with your actual warranty with the actual motor company.
Because we have two dealerships in our area, and one lets you get away with more than the other. I'm not going to say names because I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus.
No.
But one is a warranty. They're more warranty. I don't want to say it, like,
Paranoid.
Think Germans in 1940s. They're warranty Germans in 1940.
Oh, you mean socialists?
Yeah, that's it.
It starts with an N and ends with an Nazi. Anyways,
Yahtzee.
but they're more warranty
Every
of
time I hear
that
it, I
style.
just picture Mark Hamill going, Nazi!
I can't do it without laughing, dude, because that's all I picture too. This Luke Skywalker yelling Nazi at someone, like, damn.
He's cute when he's little and white and orange, but then all of a sudden you make his armor black. Nazi!
But no, I mean, and that's something that you look at is what the dealership says and what the other ones, because like that aspect is where what dealership's going to report what. When you check with your local dealership, they might say like, hey, you put some slip-ons on your bike or full exhaust, we're not going to say anything. But other ones will be like, well, they're more profit oriented, so they're going to say, well, if you can't do this, but if you put this Screaming Eagle on your bike, and that's the big problem, is that they're going to try and get you to buy parts. Like, do you know how hard, like, something to think about too is don't be afraid to take your bike in. It's super hard. One of the biggest things we've talked about for warranties and all that kind of stuff when you take your bike in for a service is exhaust. And for a dealership to try and prove that your exhaust is going to void your warranty is damn near impossible without them spending way more money than they'd ever want to just to prove it. And dealerships do not have disposable income. So
I got
nowadays.
an example. And so someone that rides with me on my channel and has a bike within the Softail line, so the current modern new generation.
It might be
Steve.
It might be something that's a lowrider S.
He bought pipes and an intake. And then he went to get a tuner, and he was like, well, there's all these options, and I have an opinion, and Wig has an opinion, but I'm going to go to the guy who's actually going to do the work on the bike and see what he thinks. So he goes to an unnamed dealership in our area. He tells them, these are the pipes I bought. This is the intake I bought. This is my bike. What tuner should I buy? And they had this wild story that I'm not confirming is true or not. It's not. That his specific pipes with his specific air cleaner can only work. The guy doesn't want to do the work unless he uses this very specific and expensive tuner. And
so either Thundermax or FP3.
No, he wanted to use the Power Vision.
Well, I know what he wanted to use.
Right. So, but only with this certain tuner, and to use that tuner would void your warranty. So now I'm going to make you hold on to your pipes for a year until your warranty's up. And it's like, I'm having a hard time with that, and I can't confirm it either way. But I look at a guy like Blockhead, right, who buys a brand new Harley like every 2 years and rips the thing apart. We're not talking full build, right? The jugs don't come out, whatever. But the guy does pipes, intake, and tuner right away to like every bike he gets. And I'm having a hard time believing that guy's giving up his warranty 3 months into the bike.
No, and that's still a gray area on whether or not Harley will directly, because like the story from dealerships is that if they hook your bike in there and you're not using an EPA compliant tuner, that it blacklists your warranty. I'm having a hard time believing that, because at that same point, like you talked about, Blockhead putting the tuner that he does on every bike, like they're gonna blacklist the warranty of the dude that basically helped Harley get into the younger crowd.
Right. And not just that, but so specifically the thing is they told Steve, don't use the FP3, which I've also heard from other people that they're junk and don't use them. But magically it became, well, I only want to do that setup with this tuner, and specifically this tuner is what will mess you up. And it's like, I know that there is a computer within the motorcycle and the new bikes that will tell them this was changed on that date, this was done on that date. You know, the bike started acting different and idling different at this date and time. But I got a hard time thinking there's a computer in that bike that's telling the motor company what tuner and what maps you used when.
It's not that. It's when they hook up their Harley computer to it is when it.
Right.
And so, you know, if you go in there for a service, like a oil change or something like that,
they do document it.
They should not be hooking a computer into your motorcycle unless you request them to do it. Make sure you tell them, I just want an oil change. They should not be hooking a computer into your bike. And even if they see the tuner sitting on the handlebars, prove it. You know, if they put that computer into your bike for whatever reason without you asking, they're already breaking something where it's like, dude, you can't just do what you want because you're a dealership.
I think that's kind of a gray area.
See, and I'm gonna tell you this too. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it kind of goes without saying that, like, I'm very anti-warranty when it comes down to motorcycles, and I'll tell you the experiences that I've seen. Anything you bring back is going to be an argument on whether or not it's covered or not. So my assumption is that when I spend all that money on a brand new bike, that I am going to void the warranty no matter what, because I'm going to customize the bike. That's what I bought it for. I bought the base.
And let's be 100% honest, Harley warranties are bullshit.
That's
100%.
That's what I'm saying.
Like my wheel.
Yeah,
I was gonna say my wheels are a perfect example. I have chrome spoked Harley wheels. All right, real chrome does not rust. It shouldn't. Real chrome should not rust. Well, my wheels start.
High quality chrome shouldn't rust.
Well, yeah, I mean you're paying.
Well, what you expect for the price tag of what Harley sells. Harley's the luxury vehicle of motorcycles.
But it all started rusting, and then when I went back to the dealership being like, hey, my wheels are covered in rust, the specific dealership said that it wasn't covered under warranty and they weren't going to do anything about it because, it's regular wear and tear. But I promise you, if one of their people had some rust issues on their bike, I mean, they'd be worried about it. And like, I stopped dealing with that dealership because I got tired of all their BS that they wanted to throw at me about stuff. And honestly, too, I said screw my warranty and was more worried about the life of my bike, and did put a power vision on my bike. Because
there's one more thing to remember with that too, is that just because they're a dealership, right, and they are supposed to handle warranty transactions for the MoCo, remember, when they do those jobs, when they do those warranty jobs, they are essentially losing money.
This is true.
It doesn't make sense for them to want to get you right to the back unless you buy a new bike from that dealership every 3 to 5 years and someone in the building makes a commission off you. You bought that bike there. You know, Steve has also had an experience or two at dealerships where he wasn't really thrilled and thought, hey, I spent all this money on a Harley. I should be treated a certain way when I walk into a building that says Harley. And I keep reminding him, you bought your bike in Texas, dude. You live in Michigan. You're walking into a building where no one has made $1 off you.
Ty says, I've heard you can buy a third-party warranty anyway, correct? Honestly, dude, just get full coverage insurance on your bike.
Yeah. Don't worry so much about your warranty.
Get full coverage on your bike, so basically even if a fly poops on it and dents it, that it gets replaced. You know, the part gets replaced.
And put full coverage on it. Let somebody else pay the depreciation and the warranty fees and the taxes.
Well, and like I said, from my experience, all right, and then this is from my experience with my bike, is that I learned a lot of stuff about the Milwaukee 8s. You know, I've got plenty of more videos I'm going to be making about them, about how the initial setup that comes from Harley is trash and will actually destroy the motor. And it sounds stupid me saying that, but when you think about what a Milwaukee 8 is, being a high compression motor, a high output motor, it's what it's supposed to be, especially a 114 to 131. Those bikes are meant to make power, even the 107s. But when you run into, you choke up that 114, you're putting more pressure into the motor. And so what happens is the bike's not going to like that over time. Like that's why everyone buys a Sportster and puts a straight pipe on it, because A, you get more power, and the bike, like anytime you open up the bike and really help it breathe, so true stage 1 where you're getting actually a high intake air cleaner, a high flow exhaust, not like slip-ons. I'm talking like full on through high flow exhaust, like what my Dan Moto 2-in-1 is the bike's going to run cooler and better because it's flowing air better, it's happier. And the dealerships will try to sell you on Screaming Eagle stuff. And John Maxwell did a great video on this, and he put it up about the Screaming Eagle setup, the stage 1. And with that, he showed that when he paid all that money he paid for his stage 1, and when he paid for it, his power gains were so minimal. Like he got like 1 or 2 horsepower and like 3 or 4 foot-pounds of torque for like $500. For $500, you could get a high flow intake, you get a high flow exhaust, and a tuner, and get way more power out of your bike. The Norseman understands this. When he saw me, once I got the exhaust put on my bike, it became very savage in the way it wanted to run. Like it wanted.
Well, it's exactly why, is because when you do stuff like that, like I tell people all the time, if you're going to start doing like performance upgrade and you're going to do multiple things, do your research before you go ahead and start committing to something because it's Screaming Eagle or it's recommended.
But also going off what Ty said too, is if you go to a third-party person to get your oil change, which is still allowed under warranty, they're not going to hook a computer into the bike. They're not going to ask questions. They're not going to say anything.
No, oil filter.
They're going to do the work and get it out of the shop.
I highly endorse, as someone who works at a local motorcycle garage, and I own 2 30-year-old Harley Davidsons. I'm not paying what they charge for an oil change. I'm not paying what they charge for most of your basic things. And I've learned that, you'd be surprised. The local dirt bike shop in your town that does service probably does more than dirt bikes. They probably do 4-wheelers. They'll probably change the tires on your Honda Shadow, change the oil in your Harley. And
a motorcycle is a motorcycle.
Find a small mechanic, support local, and find someone who will let you learn off of them and establish connections. Like I work for my mechanic right now, and today I got to do video all day. He invented a new thing again, and so we're making another commercial. And I showed up and set up lights and a camera and didn't get dirty all day.
Tragic.
When he goes into somebody's pocket in my community who I care if their kid starves or not.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of support local.
Dealerships aren't there to be your buddy unless you buy from them all the time.
Yep.
Then they don't even look at you as a friend.
They
dollar signs.
You spend enough money. I mean, when I went in to get my Heritage, I was actually looking for like a used bike of some sort.
Road King.
And not even a Road King, dude. It was I had the choice between a Road King and my Heritage. There was 2, a Road King Special and my Heritage sitting next to each other.
How is Kissing Dudes working out for you?
Very well, actually.
I'm going to be honest with you.
I still have twice the power of my Sportster.
Hey, I'm just throwing this out there. We don't always make 100% of the right decisions all the time. So
that's right. That's why you bought a Road King. Anyways,
wow.
I'm sorry, a Road Queen. Anyways,
weed cough.
I don't make fun of people that own Sportsters because I still own one. Wigsley owns one. Cool people own Sportsters.
2.
Oh, he's got 2 Sportsters. I forgot about that. So we have three Sportsters, 1 Heritage,
Redfish, Bluefish, hop on pop.
And also too, man, like another thing to talk about is like when they try to talk you into extra services at the dealership, don't buy into that shit. They're not going to worry about extra services. We're going to inspect your tires, or if they say you need new tires, go to a local shop and get them changed if it does need it. But Amazon, your local O'Reilly's, any places like that have tire gauges and tire depth measures. Check your tire pressure.
Tires.
I don't mind that. I don't mind giving money to a local business to change my tires.
Well, to change your tires, yeah.
But I'm saying like
tires?
Tread depth. They have tread depth gauges at O'Reilly's.
Yeah, learn how to do it with a quarter.
I just want to throw this out there. We use nickels. just throwing this out there. I think a lot of times what you look at is when you go to a dealership and you in essence you're going for your 1 or 5,000 mile. You're there. The amount of money that they're going to tell you that it's going to cost. Nobody's going to sign up for a $450 oil change. Okay, so that's where the sales comes in. Well, it's not just an oil change. You get 100-point inspection. We look at this, we check this, we break this down, we adjust that, we look at this. And a lot of times that like the people that aren't 100% aware of what it is that they're doing are like, well, wow, I'm getting a lot. There's a lot of items on this list that now I understand why it equates to 450.
They're all part of an oil change any fucking ways.
Yeah, but then you look at like for example on the 1,000 mile, because I just looked this up from Harley to do my buddy's bike. He's like, well, it looks like they do this, and this, and I'm like, well, this is all stuff that you can do yourself. It's very simple. It's a little time consuming if you don't know what you're doing, but if you have an understanding of like the general what part is what on the bike, it's so easy to check. Like you have an inspection cover for checking your primary chain, and you just got to know how much slack and how to check it. Because I've known people that were like, yeah, it's easy, I can do it myself. They'll go ahead and get in there and they'll check it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's right where it needed to be. And I'm like, well, did you spin the motor to 3 different positions and take the average? And they're like, I didn't know that I had to do that. Well, if you look at your service manual or if you watch a YouTube video on how to check it correctly, you'll get that information. The hard work has already been done. All the tips and tricks of all this is out there. You just got to look for it. And that's why I tell people, it's like, make sure that you're understanding what it is that you're getting yourself into.
I will say that like all of that's true. And they're the dealerships are overpriced for everything, and that's true. I'm not hating on them when I say it though. Like they do provide a service to people who don't want to hunt down another place to take their bike, have the money, don't care, they want the peace of mind, and you know what? It helps those techs at those dealerships keep their jobs and make more money. There are positive aspects of this. I think we just all agree. Would you guys say the common ground is that there's a little bit of like deceptive tactic in there that I could do without?
Well, and I don't blame that on the techs. I blame that on service. Like the dealership itself. Also, another little trick that most people don't know and keep in mind of is the fact that you can bring your own oil to them. Like you don't have to use the Harley oil. You don't have to use AMS oil if they try to upsell you on it. Take your own oil that you want to use at the dealership. I like Lucas. Lucas is one of my favorite oils. They're the sponsor. I don't see freaking AMS oil being a sponsor of the NHRA, but I do see Lucas oil, and so Lucas oil is the one I like. It's the official oil of every freaking power sport that I can think of.
I use AMS oil because the redneckest dude I've ever met in my life told me never to use anything but AMS oil. And I'm going to trust that dude until the day I fucking die.
Well, and Lucas oil and AMS oil are the same thing.
I'm going to throw this out there. It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. They all have their... When you're talking about AMS oil, you're talking about Lucas, or you're talking about
oil.
Any of the oils.
Oil.
It's at the end of the day, it's synthetic oil. I mean, there's really not much of a formulary difference to it.
I think there is a difference in the quality on the lower end to the higher end stuff, but even the higher end stuff's only like $10 a quart. So
if you change your oil a little bit early every time, it should never matter.
Based on the stuff I've seen and the studies I've seen with the lubrication properties, I was a nerd. I nerded out, okay? Back when I worked on cars and all that kind of stuff, I nerded out. And Lucas oil and AMS oil, basically the same and about the same price. And I like either one of them. I just like Lucas oil because it's more easily accessible.
So I have an oil story. I once was gifted 2 quarts of like 30-year-old Harley oil out of my uncle's garage. When he
What's up,
moved.
D-Cycle?
And so, what up, D? And so, hey, I'm
What's up,
coming
dude?
for you, bro. I haven't worked out my smack talk yet. We're protesting MMM, bro.
It got canceled.
But
You didn't
so
see
I
that part?
took home
Hey.
a bottle of Harley oil one time, and then I
You
was
with the
doing
face.
something to my roommate's bike.
You with the
so
face.
I used what?
MMM got canceled.
I heard you. I moved past it. I was telling
Oh, sorry.
a very clever story, and now
Yeah.
you have ruined it for.
Oh, I'm
everyone.
sorry. Hey, if we look
You
up in the top,
commie.
if we look up in the top right corner of the screen, what does that say? It says I do what the fuck I want.
Some dude who kisses men.
I do.
Wow.
Anyways, it's a lot of
international symbol for it.
I don't know, man. It comes to a lot of smack talk from a dude that's ass hurts every time he rides his bike.
Man, not one nice thing.
What's up, Brave Boy? But anyways,
we're gonna
continue
kiss,
with
bro.
your.
Make up.
All right. So,
anyways, continue with your story of giving your buddy a hand job.
So
30-year-old
after
oil.
I stroked him. What happened was I needed to tap a hole, so I used motorcycle oil, and I brought home a tap from work and a tap handle, and I was like, I forgot oil, and I was like, oh, but I have oil, and oil's oil, lube is lube, right? So I
used
dumped it
Lucas
in
in my
there,
primary. So
and then
bitches.
I tapped the hole, and then I went around to the other side, and I dunked it in there. And what have I done wrong? I've double dunked a tap into the soil. So now it had to have forever. That had to have written on it.
Do not
use as motorcycle oil.
You just put metal shavings into it.
Yeah. So then I was the guy at work that never needed oil from the crib. Always had my own cutting lube, but people would every time I drilled and tapped anything, everybody like, smells like your fucking Harley in here. That lasted for 3 years.
It's a lot of oil.
But oil's oil.
You know what though? I do have an oil story. Postponed. It got postponed. It got canceled for the September date and postponed to another date. Anyways,
then I'm definitely coming to protest it. So
anyway,
that's the big news, guys, is that we're protesting MMM. That we're gonna have our own event, separate of their event. Where I'm gonna make us all signs. And we're gonna protest it because the government's not shutting down any protests.
Right there. HD is going to charge $150 to change fork fluid. Local bike told me how to do it and sold me 2 seals of oil for $25.
See, to
there
some
you
guys,
go.
That's worth $150 though.
It is, but it's.
Whoa. Hold on. You're trying to tell me that swapping fork oil is worth $150?
To somebody who does not
work
on their own vehicle.
It's not even that they don't want to work on their own vehicles. The cost of
the money
and the cost of them being able to do it themselves. How often are you changing fork oil? Let's be honest. To buy all the tools and stuff and the lift or whatever you need to be able to do it.
Hold on, kids. I actually changed an entire front end, using literally a motorcycle lift.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about
ATV jack.
Yeah, I'm talking about like a jack, not what I have in my garage here.
Wood will get you high enough.
Yeah, you just get that front end up.
So we'll get strain.
True story. No, but seriously, I've done a few of them in the last couple months, and I'll tell you, it's a lot of times I'll show them what to do, and it's not that complicated.
Yeah, but if you have no mechanical incline in your body at all.
No, and think about the guy.
No, but that's what the dealerships are for.
That's what I'm saying. That's what we're saying is it's worth it to a certain point to have someone,
doctor or lawyer or business owner who doesn't have the time, whose time is worth more per hour, who doesn't have the tools, and who wants the satisfaction of, if I have X done and then X is wrong, I'm calling pissed and somebody's fixing it.
And also,
that's not everybody.
Maybe. That's a maybe.
A huge one for me too is, as much as it pains me to say this, do not trust anyone that works on your bike. Word for to the point. And I say that is, don't trust their work, all right? But don't be afraid to check after to make sure the work was done. I'm saying there's good shops out there. There are, and you can trust them. But my experience is another local dealership.
My
That's-
mechanic's the shit.
Well, yeah, but
So is Mix.
yeah, my mechanic is a shit. Anyways, but like, make sure you trust unless you're sitting there watching him do it, which dealerships won't let you do. Don't trust the work that they do, because when my bike got hit, so my Heritage got hit, and it got put in for service to get it done, insurance work and all that kind of stuff. Well, they told me that they changed my fluids out on my bike, and we know for a fact they did change the primary fluid. Primary fluid probably got changed. Transmission fluid looked fine. But my oil in my bike had seen much better days. But I trusted the dealership at the time to say, when they said that the work got done. And guess what? It didn't. My oil had been in there far longer than it should have been. It was dark as hell.
But I will tell you this. I bet you if you take a look at your work order and what they did, I bet you any money it will be on there that the oil got changed.
It was. It was on the work order that the oil got changed. Because they called me and asked me about it. I'm like, well, if you guys got the bike up there and its insurance is covering everything, checking fluids and all that kind of stuff, just change it. Well, they said they changed it and they didn't. And there's no way in hell.
And they still charge for it. You don't have to worry about that. The insurance company paid for that.
But they didn't change it.
Yeah.
And so that's why don't be afraid to check the work of the person that works on your bike. Make sure the oil actually got changed. Make sure, little things that make it easy to be able to verify the work was done to your bike. Because if it wasn't, you take that shit right back and be like, hey, you guys said this and it didn't happen. Dwayne Sapp says local shop near me is great. I was so afraid to go there due to the hard biker thing, but they all great guys.
What does he mean by that? They're hard bikers there?
Hey, what's up, truck man?
What's up?
I think it's the Harley persona is really what threw him off.
It's like walking into a custom bike shop that's owned by like old schoolers. It's like you kind of get like this feeling like you don't belong and
like
you feel
it's
a
an
little
exclusive
awkward.
Club that you're
Well, it's not that it's exclusive. It's just the mere fact of like
I don't fit the profile.
You don't want to be that guy walking in with you pull up on your $25,000 motorcycle, wearing khakis and a button-up shirt, and walk in there feeling awkward.
See, yes and no. I wish it wasn't that way because I feel like, you guys have met Boomer. You know Boomer, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like he gives off that vibe, man. He drives muscle cars.
Yeah, but he's nothing like that.
Shit. But I tell you what, man, when I did my charity ride and like my dad and my grandpa met him, it was all handshakes and nice to meet you, sir. And like the guy wants your money, just like the dealership does. And that guy, like most guys, regardless of the style he dresses or the vehicle he wears, will work for your money.
And he's a genuine person too, though.
Yeah.
The big thing is just you got to understand people are who they are, because a lot of times I get that same look of like I am intimidating just because of the way I present myself.
What's up, Patrick? Oh,
but I think like at the end of the day, it's like once people get to know me. Yeah, that's a true statement.
First mistake was trusting a dealership, so Mick.
But like that's the thing is like you got to get past that persona, because at the end of the day, they're trying to run a business and you're trying to give them the business. Trust me, you're not going to walk in there and they're not going to be like from like some 70s, bar scene, bikers versus the rubs or the yuppies, whatever you want to call them.
I think it makes
greasers versus yuppies,
right? Because if you have a newer bike, you want somebody who's been educated on the newest engine technology and whatever. Like I said, I own two 30-year-old bikes. I wouldn't let somebody with clean hands anywhere near my bike with a wrench. I want the dirty, crusty old fucking wizard off the side of that 70s van with the mural painted on it to work on my bike. Because that guy knows how to make my fucking bike run. He's taken it apart 50 times probably.
Duct tape and zip ties.
And I think that's another thing too to look at is when you take your bike to a dealership, are you getting that young tech right out of school that might not know all the tricks and trades of the every little in and out of the bike, or are you getting? I agree with Wigsley on that. I like taking my bike to someone that, even though, because there's only so many different ways your bike's going to be. All right, a Harley, you can change everything, you can update everything, but it still operates the same way. But you have the person that's willing to educate, the older dude that's willing to educate himself on the bike and learn to work on it, or the middle-aged guy that's willing to do it versus the person that's just, I only work on Evos or I only work on twin cams, anything newer than that. And with the way bikes are going now, the Evo motor in the Sportster is about to be gone. It's not going to exist anymore. I see the new Revolution motor going into the Sportster.
Yes, but I'm not really worried about it because that engine's been around for so long, dude. Like, it'll be 80 years before there's not crate engines available for those.
Oh, no. But what I'm saying, though, is like people have to want to advance with technology. And that's a big problem is when you find people that don't, or dealerships are also too, like, people, when you get that young guy in the dealership, he is trained to work on Harleys because he goes like, what is it, UTI, Universal Technical Institute, advertises their stuff all the time on YouTube. And I've looked into stuff like that. And they literally have, it's 8 to 10 weeks or something like that, or 24 weeks of initial motorcycle training, and then another 8 months of Harley training, the specialized motorcycle. So you do get the added benefit of someone fresh out of school that's really keen on the new stuff. But when it comes to older stuff, Wigsley's right. Like, finding that bike shop owner or that old dude that is worked on bikes and like made stupid horsepower out of a bike that's not supposed to is the kind of person that's going to be perfect for working on your bike that's older. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, don't knock the young guys either. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, like, in one aspect, it's like, you trust your mechanic if you know him or you can get to know him. Like, if you have an opportunity to like talk to him, just see what he's about. Because there's some guys out there that like are just mechanical guys. They don't know like the ins and outs of it, and they just do what they do. But then there's other guys that I've met that were like under the age of 25 that are building some insane power plants for Harleys.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying that. I'm saying on that, like, the age gap is something that's, I think it really depends on the type of bike you have and the year of the bike you have. Because that kid that fresh out of school is not going to know the ins and outs of an Evo, or maybe not even the ins out of a twin cam. He might know the Milwaukee, they might be pushing the Milwaukee 8s. Because, the Evo and the twin cam, the Evo is close to the Milwaukee 8. The twin cam is a completely different beast.
Absolutely. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's like I agree with you. Like, it doesn't matter. Even the most seasoned mechanics, they have bad days, and sometimes your bike ends up paying for that. Because I've seen like stupid things where a buddy of mine brought his bike over and he's like, "This thing's leaking oil." I tried tightening it looks like it's leaking right out of the oil filter. I tried tightening it. I tried doing this. I tried doing that. He goes, "I can't see it." So I went ahead and, just from my previous experience of working in an oil change shop when I was in my teens, I pulled the filter off and there was 2 gaskets on there. That it's just little things like that. He pulled the oil filter. He was in a rush, pulled the oil filter, didn't even look to see if there was a gasket attached to it. It got stuck on the spindle.
I think that's another thing to look at too, is when another added benefit of dealerships is that if anything does happen, it's on them. It's a lot easier for a dealership to be like, "Hey, we're going to put a new motor in your bike," or "Hey, we're just going to give you a new bike." If they mess something, like severely screw something up. But, because it's a lot hard. If a small shop destroys your motor, or even who knows when they're going to get a new motor for that in? Who knows? Like with the Milwaukee 8s, to get a new motor, you got to send in the old one. You can't just get a new one. Like the primaries, the transmission case, the transmission case is a big one because those are stamped with a VIN too. So to get a new transmission case, you actually have to send it in. So you gotta be down off your bike. The bike has to, and you know they might.
There's time involved in all that.
Yeah, I mean, so having a dealership where they can be like, hey, you know, we have a loaner bike you can use or something like that. If you're trying to stay on the road, because like they know they messed up at that point. If it is 100% their fault.
Yeah.
And
I think the biggest thing also is like making sure that do your research. At the end of the day, it's like we live in an information age. There's no reason why you can't go on Yelp or go on any of these other websites and see what other people are saying. Because it's like, you know, just because they're around the corner from me doesn't mean that they're any good. You know, and just because their rates are good doesn't mean that they're any good. You want to try to find that happy medium between how much you're paying and the quality of work that you're getting.
And that's another topic to touch on real quick is learn what you're getting, do your research, and find the best shop.
Yeah.
Look at reviews, look at everything, and figure out which is going to be the best benefit to you, which is going to be the most beneficial, and going to offer you the most for the best price. You know, don't take a lower price as like someone that sucks at their job, or they just might not have the same level of, they don't have the same overhead. They don't have the same level of turnover that the dealerships do. I just want these guys. Patrick says, I just want that guy that's going to treat my bike with respect, not just another bike, then on to the next one. And you know, for like Patrick loves sport bikes, which I feel like it's a different animal, you know, when you look at cost. Because, like, nothing against sport bikes, but when you have a sport bike that costs, you know, $8,000 brand new versus a Harley that's $25,000, $30,000 new, you're going to make sure whoever's touching that bike is going to baby it, you know, not.
Well, and I agree, but there's a portion of me that kind of disagrees with that because I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you spent $30,000 on a bike or you spent $3,000 on a bike. At the end of the day, it's your bike, and you want somebody that's going to give it the attention that it deserves.
Well, no, and I agree with that. What I'm saying is like the mental status of a person that's looking at it is going to be a lot different. You know, if it's a sport bike versus a Harley, like a Harley guy is going to be way more on someone about how they treat their bike than someone on a sport bike, because the mentalities are the same. It's your bike, it's special. But when you look at the investment difference, you know, it's a lot easier to get a new sport bike than it is to kick out for a new Harley.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't know. Maybe it may be just because my mindset's like I don't care what, like, how much you paid for your bike. I mean, if you bring your bike into my garage, I'm going to treat it like I would treat my own.
Well, no, and it's not the person that's fixing the bike. I'm talking about the mentality of the person that owns the bike. You know, I feel like that's you have the same mentality of, like I said, it's your bike and it's your baby, but at the same time, you've got to worry about, you know, from a standpoint of I've got a $30,000 bike or a $8,000 bike. Someone's lurking behind the flag. Hi, Miss Norseman.
Nick says hi. He says hi.
I'm trying to wait for Wigsley to get back because we're coming up on our over an hour right now. I'm going to steal a concept from Between Two Wheels and do like final thoughts on stuff. But I don't even know where the hell this guy went. No, you can only see a shadow through the flag.
Nick says you can just see a shadow through the flag.
Creepy.
It's not creepy. It's actually kind of hot. Hey, babe.
You don't want to be on camera.
You're not on camera. Anyways, your whole face is being blocked out by the Norseman's nose. Anyways.
Wow.
It is. Perspective. Aspect ratio.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
I'm not saying you got a big nose. I'm just saying like it's being blocked out by your nose.
I don't have a big nose, man. I got a small face.
I know you do. Anyways, all right. So we are at that hour mark, everyone. I said I was going to keep it to an hour because I'm on call for work, and I don't want to have to like straight up just drop the stream so fast. And I also don't want to leave my camera streaming for 8 hours on end. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna steal something from Between the Two Wheels because in memory of Johnny who couldn't be here this week. Is what's your guys' final thoughts on this? Service stuff. If you had to sum up in your mind what it is, like things Norseman, go.
I would say my final thoughts would be: make sure you do your research. Make sure you understand what you're getting for your money. Make sure the work gets done. And then make sure you walk away a happy camper. And the big thing is knowledge is power. So you don't have to be a motorcycle mechanic. You don't have to be a mechanical engineer. Just get an understanding, just the basic knowledge of when somebody's talking to you about something that they found or something that they have, that you at least have an idea of what he's talking about. And then it's basically like having something pass the smell test. If somebody tells you, oh well, you can't do this with this and this with that, and these two combinations don't go together, and this will do this, I mean, go get a second opinion if you have to, but don't take things as gospel just because you heard it from one person or one dealership. So that's just my thoughts, not yours.
I'm wiggling, you're not. Anyways, Wigsley.
Hey, you got a cough to get off, man. So my thoughts are: go local if you can. Establish a relationship with your mechanic, with your service guy, with
someone that's going to know your name.
It will benefit you in a lot of different ways, and know what you know and know what you don't know. Part of working on any vehicle is getting the job done. And what a lot of people don't see that happens in garages is the hour that your mechanic is stuck on that one bolt. That would have taken you an hour and a half, 2 hours. You might have fucked it up. You might have had to take it to him on a trailer anyways. So understand the value of your dollar at the mechanic shop and make your dollar go as far as it can. And like I tell you what, to what Norseman just said, make sure the work gets done. I actually... Cute. So I don't sweat that because my mechanic will tell me when, hey, you wanted X, Y, and Z done. You actually didn't need that done. The fix was this. And so I end up paying less, and he could have charged me every penny of what we thought it was. So I believe in having those relationships. I also sometimes wait an extra week to get my bike on the lift because I go to my guy.
Yeah, and it is my final thoughts on this. I agree with going off what Wigsley just said. A lot of times when you go to a local shop versus a dealership, is you can get your bike on the lift, on the day you want to go and get it done. So your bike's not just sitting up there. I think one of the big things is having your bike sitting somewhere is more annoying than if you have a scheduled time with a local shop, be like, hey, I'm going to bring my bike here. And they're like, hey, we'll get it done then. And then we'll be off. You'll be on your way. Ride your bike in, get it done, ride your bike away. It's not sitting at a dealership. It's not wasting its time anywhere. But I do agree, like, get a manual for your bike and just go over it. You don't have to memorize every word in there is gospel. But make sure when the mechanic says, oh, you need this. Right now, according to Harley. And then you're like, well, according to the manual, it says I don't need to change it till 10. Because they are going to try and upsell you on stuff because, like, ignorance is the way they can succeed. When you look at the way people buy, when, like, you look at two people taking a car in to get an oil changed, a woman versus a male, there's plenty of studies and videos showing that a woman's going to get taken advantage of because they're seen as more ignorant, which is not correct. But it's the general concept of is people will take advantage of ignorance because you don't know if they see you nodding along and you're like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Cause you think you want to act like, what you're talking about. People will take advantage of that. And then you go out of there being satisfied thinking, what you're talking about. And then you just spend a bunch of money on something you didn't need.
Just also, just wanted to add to that real quick. There's sometimes where it's like I'll walk into places and I have no idea. Wow, thank you. No, just go in there and just see what they say. You know, I know nothing. Just educate me, and see if what they're telling me is the truth. You know, and if it is, then you know we've established honesty in this business relationship. If they're sitting there giving me a crock of shit just to go ahead and get me to buy something I don't need or add something that doesn't matter, then I understand where they're at, and I'm not gonna obviously give my business to them. But
one of my local shops that I really like is Michigan Baggers Racing. It's no secret. I've made videos with them about them, and you know my 2-in-1 exhaust on my bike. All right, like that's what really gained my trust is. You know, I got the cleaner and they helped me with, you know, figure out the tuner I needed because, you know, based off their experience and research and all that kind of stuff. In my research, it was what's best for the bike. But they're like, hey, dude, like, I was like, hey, I'm looking at getting a 2-in-1 exhaust. And they're like, well, you know, you don't need to spend $800 on a Vance & Hines Pro pipe. And like Dan Moto makes one. It's like $200. It's a good pipe. And stuff like that, where they're willing to like tell you like, hey, get this one versus another one. Because it's better for your pocket because they understand from their perspective. It's not some dude that's just making money for a dealership. They understand the value of the dollar, like Wigsley was talking about.
yep,
Is they understand the value of the dollar and how it affects you, and that the more money you can save on your bike is the more money you can put into having other stuff done to the bike and fun. But having that education of knowing what you need and having that book just to like tell you this is what it needs, like get a general knowledge of your bike specifically.
nope.
Don't fall into the trap of being to know like, oh, Evo, shovelhead, panhead, blah, blah, blah. Like get to know your bike top to bottom, back to front, every little aspect about it. Because that's going to give you a leg up on the competition. That's going to give you a leg up when you take it in to get serviced because you're going to know exactly what it needs. You're going to know how much oil it needs, how much primary fluid it needs, how much transmission fluid it needs. Because if they're saying, oh, well, you're going to need this much oil or for this, and it's like over what it is, then you're like, well, no, it says right here in the manual, this is how much oil it is. That's how much it should take. So having your knowledge of your motorcycle, having a knowledge of everything about your bike only, is going to help you when it comes to getting services done, when it comes to getting work done on your bike. And also don't get upselled unless you absolutely need it. You don't want to go into a situation and get upsold on something you don't need because that person's trying to make extra money. And that's where I do, once again, agree with Wigsley is local shops aren't really going to try and upsell you. You know, they're going to sell you what you need. And
they
they're
want your
like,
bike in and out and off the lift because that's how they make their money is
Yeah.
putting another bike on the lift.
Yeah. And if they say like, hey man, we can do this if you want to, it's not necessarily needed, but it's an option. You know, that's how they're going to address it. Harley, the dealership might be like, hey, you need this, 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 and like, this is what you need. Like, this is going to help it better. And they're going to make it sound like it's a necessity. Most local shops aren't going to make a necessity. It's like, hey man, it's an option.
Most local shops, in my experience, are going to put your bike on the lift, do what you ask them to do, and kind of take a look at the rest of it. If nothing pops out at them, they're not going to do some 800-point inspection to find something else to sell you because they don't want your bike on the lift for longer.
And 100
I think the only extra I've ever been offered is when I did tires. They said, hey, tires is a good time to do your brakes. You should just have us do your brakes while we have it apart. That made sense. But
Yeah.
I didn't feel like that was an upsell. That was actually them saving themselves the time of having to put my bike on the lift twice for something stupid.
No, and
that's
and
you time too.
Yeah, I mean that's actually like it's actually like those are the good suggestions because here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's like if you're getting a cam done, you know, to go ahead and like I don't know if you're getting a cam done, right? Most of the times they end up cutting the push rods out, right? And if they're doing it like old school, like let's just say you don't want to get the adjustables, they have to take the top of the box off to feed them through, right? But if you're already in there and let's just say they spot a leak around one of the guides, at that point, you know, you might as well call them up and say, hey, it's gonna cost another $15-20 extra because I noticed you had a leak in this corner here. And since I'm already in it, I'm just going to go ahead and do it
I
if
don't
you're
have
cool
to
with
charge
it.
you to tear it all apart
You,
again.
you know what?
Exactly.
And I think that's another good point with local shops is there's a lot of stuff they'll fix and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah.
find something and they're like, well, I'm already here, might as well just adjust it. And then they'll tell you about it. And that's what's going to be beneficial to you is those people that are going to take the time to not like factory work on your bike. You know, they're not going to just like go through the motions, get it done and go through it. They're going to take time to like look at stuff. They're going to notice things. If they notice something, they're going to bring it up to you because
They're
that
already
fix,
there.
they might either just fix it for free or they might be like, hey, like you said, 10, 15 bucks more, man, we can get this gasket and get this replaced.
Yeah.
Whereas
I can
a
put it back
dealer,
together
yeah.
and then charge you another $100 to tear it back apart to where it was.
And also too, I
Yeah.
do, like I said, I can't reiterate enough. I do like local dealerships or local shops because they are going to be a same day service for the most part. They don't want your bike. They don't have the overhead to have your bike sitting up there. So you're going to have your bike back immediately. It's not going to be sitting up somewhere. Cause I know like with dealerships right now, like what they do is you go up there, drop off your bike, leave the keys in a box, and then they call you when it's done. You know, local shop.
That could be a day. That could be a month. Who knows?
But local shops will have you in and out because they don't have that overhead. And a lot of the time, the people that are there are trained just as well as the techs at other places, and they're going to get done right in the good time.
Yep.
But yeah, you guys, for now, that's all I have. I do appreciate the Norseman, Wigsley, and everyone in the side chat for being here. We're going to be back at it again next week. And if you guys have a topic you want to see, like I said, go over to the community tab on my channel. Post it up on there. Post a picture of your bike. I'd love to see all your guys' bikes. Or girls' bikes, everyone's bikes. It's a new freaking world. I don't have the energy for all this BS. But yeah, so let me know topics that you guys would want to hear, talk about, and you know, we can get them in here. And if you guys want to be on the live stream, yeah, man, feel free to jump in. But for now, I hope you guys all have a good day, evening, night, morning, afternoon tea, brunch, lunch, nightcap, midnight snack, crumpet, McGriddle, bacon sandwich. And remember to always ride for freedom. Goodbye.